All right. Well, we are running a test by accident, not by design or purpose. I just went on a hike at the lake. Short one, very slow, very easy. Not for me, but very easy just because I psychologically needed to. And then I mowed the front and the back of the yard because I've been putting it off and it needed to get done. And so we'll see how just those two things go as far as activity goes. I've been stretching. I've been stretching every morning, every evening, drinking some electrolytes when I do it in the evening before I go to bed. I've been meditating every day to try to relax my muscles. And all of that seems to be helping by stretching out this side of my neck. I mean, my range of motion is still not amazing. It's better to this side than it is to this side, even right now. But so I have to do some more stretching there. But then I'm gonna miss a ton of chiropractor appointments. So I have 14 days from my last appointment, which was this last Thursday, all through this entire week, then most of the way through the next week, and then to the next Thursday, because this Tuesday I have a funeral in Grand Rapids I have to go to. So a lot of time in the car, which will be a bit of a, well, it's given me trouble before, so we'll see how that goes. And then on Thursday, we're going down. My Aunt Karen, my mom, me are going down to Chicago to pick up Amy. And so that'll obviously be a ways. And we're coming back on Friday. So tons of driving there. My chiropractor is not open on Saturday. I normally have appointments on Tuesday and Thursday now. I'm down to 2 a week normally. Used to be 3, used to be 6 before that. And then I'm taking Amy back with Aunt Karen on Tuesday, the 5th of September. So I'll miss that one too. And that'll bring me to the 7th of September. And that'll be 14 days since my last one, which is insane. I mean, we'll see how that goes. It'll be an intense test. That's for sure. Kind of by accident, I kept realizing that there were more and more days that I was going to miss. So I have to make sure I get my stretching in, take it easy, make sure I rest. And if this goes well, that means I basically don't need to be really close to the chiropractor all the time. Still definitely advisable to go there a lot. That was Jack. But it means it opens up some other real possibilities. And I probably still won't go to China or France, even though I've the options to, because logistically it'd be difficult. It probably wouldn't be the best decision, and I'm bankrupt, so I don't really have the money. So I probably won't do those things, but it would be interesting. I'm getting stronger, which is a huge indicator because if your central nervous system is messed up, when you work out, your body doesn't tell it to repair itself. It doesn't have the capacity to repair itself essentially. So you work out, it breaks down your muscle, and then it just stays that way. You get weaker. That's part of why I've gotten progressively worse over all this time. Because sometimes I didn't fully understand the situation. That bone would be pressed on my brainstem, I'd be weaker, and then accidentally it'd move out of my brainstem more, and I'd get a little stronger, and I would think, oh, I'm starting to get better, but and then I would work out, but then my body wouldn't heal, so I get a little bit weaker. It was a horrible cycle. But now I'm seeing strength gains that I believe are actual muscle increase, muscle repairing. They're not just left over from when I was strong 2 years ago. But for quite a while, that was the issue. It was just like leftover strength. So overall, I was getting weaker, even though it seemed like sometimes I was getting better. But I think I'm not confused on that now. And impact is huge. So I really have to watch walking and that type of thing. Even though I feel like going on hikes like I used to all the time, can't, don't, right? And so what are my plans, and what does that mean? It means I have maybe a higher work capacity. Still, I have to spend a lot of time stretching, a lot of time relaxing, a lot of time sleeping, a lot of time meditating, just to keep these in the right spot. But still, it frees me up a little bit. And kind of the ideas I'm working on developing are developing English as a second language courses, specifically maybe reading or phonics program. So phonics program is not really taught in China a ton because they don't realize it's so important, which is interesting. I mean, it makes sense. You can't learn Mandarin with the phonics program because they're not a phonological language. They're a logographic language, a tonal spoken language. Is a completely different concept of language spoken and written. And phonics by far is superior. The more systematized phonics program you get, the better results you get. The less systematized phonics program you get, to the extreme whole language approach, the whole language approach, look-see method, all that stuff. There, you basically just aren't teaching people to read. I mean, really smart, naturally, cognitively superior kids can learn how to read that way at like a normal level. If you would have taught them the phonics program, you would realize they're actually super smart. Instead, you just got them up to normal. It's kind of insane, and a bunch of people that learn the whole language approach end up being dyslexic, who wouldn't need to be if they just learned the phonics version, how to manipulate the phonological bits of the language, phonemes, essentially. So I'm going to work on that. And there's a bunch of logistical issues there. Obviously, I don't know Mandarin. That's a huge one. China blocks tons of websites. That's another huge one. And there's a bunch of other stuff. But we'll see how that goes. I'm going to progress that way a little bit. I offered to do it for free for one of the schools I teach through, and the founder turned me down, which was a weird conversation. I was offering to do stuff for free for her, and she turned me down. That was developer school, and say, hey, we have our own internal phonics program. I mean, it just seems kind of insane. She said, well, aren't there other phonics programs? Then why do you need to make one? And, I think, one, it would benefit me. One, two, I think it's interesting. And three, I think I might be able to bring something unique to it, adjust to it. A lot of them aren't designed specifically for Mandarin or Chinese speakers. Not that mine is extremely different, but a lot of people that speak Mandarin have a problem with TH sounds, the th, because they don't make those sounds in Mandarin. So, I mean, I guess there's little differences, but it's not a huge deal. And I asked her, I was like, well, there's a bunch of other online companies that teach English. Like, why did you start one? And she had no idea. She said she would have to go think about it, and that was over a week ago, and she's apparently still thinking about it, so that was kind of funny. Also, I've my simple little blog. One, I submitted my contest entry to the X Prize writing contest, so we'll see how that goes if it comes back. I mean, it seems to be pretty good, but the grammar wasn't great. Not exactly sure if I formatted everything correctly, so it might get rejected right out of the bat for grammar and formatting. But overall, I think the story is kind of interesting, and it was unique. I had some resistance on it because it's supposed to be like positive, and I segued around that a little bit. It was interesting though, and the writing's going pretty well. I've had a decent number of people online and some people in person ask me about how I made my author website, and I've checked out a lot of other authors, some authors that are pretty decent sellers and decently big authors, and basically everyone recommends they have some sort of blog to promote your stuff through, or at least have it available so people can look at. And a lot of their sites are hard to navigate, and they're not simple, and they're clunky, and they're weird. And I've had a number of people ask me how I did mine. And it's the simplest thing in the world. I set up a Blogger because I want it to be super easy. It's not as adjustable as like WordPress, but I didn't need it to be. So it's super easy. And I'm thinking there might be a market there just for making websites, author websites just for writers. And they're pretty simple to set up, or maybe doing like a course on how to do it, which is interesting. You wouldn't think that would be a need, but it seems like it might be a need in the market. So those two things, the ESL, phonics, reading, speaking, videos for English, and the author websites, there might be a need in the market for those two things. And then I'm working on trying to figure out how to fund the writing. And I set up a Patreon account a while ago, but I haven't really developed it. And it's where people can pay you on a monthly basis, like pay you $10 a month. And then the issue is, like, what are they getting access to? Because I don't particularly want to make anything exclusive for it. It's a false scarcity, right? False scarcity. It's like, I could give you this thing, but I'm not going to unless you pay me. And it doesn't take anything from me. Like, if I'm making planners and I give you a planner, like, it costs me a bunch of money to give you this planner. But if it's just an electronic form that doesn't cost me anything, or an electronic video that doesn't cost me anything, like, why am I creating a false sense of scarcity? I just don't really like false scarcity, and like, there's enough scarcity. Why do we need a fake scarcity? But it's a good way of making money. So I don't know if people will be interested in contributing money without there being some sort of scarcity, without there being some sort of program where, hey, you can't get this unless you pay me $10 a month on the account. Obviously, that's how the ESL courses, the phonics courses, author websites would be. So I might just have to do it that way. I do some writing or some video on writing that I don't make available to the public, only through Patreon. Uh, but it could be a very interesting way to make money. Some people make money on it. It really funds. Like there's a blog that makes like 16 grand a year. Wait, but why? They're super famous. Uh, and they make, or 16 grand a month. I mean, 16 grand a month on just Patreon. And I don't know how else to make money, but I think they make money in several different ways. So that can basically fund their living expenses to just work on the blog. So it's an interesting perspective. Otherwise, you're down to like selling stuff on Amazon, which you have major problems with like a blog, because you have to write a bunch of blog articles, make it into a book to sell it on Amazon basically, or you have to advertise on your website, which isn't going to pay for much of anything at all, or obviously you come up with full books and stuff like that, which a lot of writers do, but even there they have major trouble actually making money off those, and the whole skill then becomes advertising essentially, which is a completely different skill set. So I'll have to work on that at some point too. I have lots of stuff to do. There's my to-do list. So tons of stuff to do, and writing's not even on there. So which is a big thing. So that's what I'm up to, and we'll see over these 2 weeks how this goes. We'll see. I have to make sure I'm stretching well every day, keeping this nice and loose, and maybe I'll have a little bit more self-efficacy, and be able to affect my own neck, my own health a little bit, which would be awesome, and get in shape a little bit again would be wonderful. So we'll see how all of that goes. But until next time.